Hello foodies, it's Anna Olson here, and today's recipe has been voted by El Gourmet fans from Bolivia. And guess what you voted for as the recipe for me to make? Salteñas. Now, this is exciting. I have never made salteñas before. I have made empanadas, but I know salteñas are distinctly different. And it starts with the filling, the stew. So that's what I'm going to start making. Come on over. I'm starting by heating a pan over medium heat with a little bit of oil. We're making a special filling just for the salteñas, which is essentially like making a saucy stew. And that's a key difference. We want to build in a substantial sauce. So I'm gonna start out by sauteing some onion and orange bell pepper in a little bit of oil, just to soften them both up. Now to build in even more flavor, I'm adding 2 cloves of garlic, a bit of ground cumin and dried oregano. I can't get the Bolivian fresh chili pepper, but this is what I got really excited about. Aji Amarillo, Bolivian yellow chili paste. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of that. Now I'm going to add a diced potato, and I'm adding a pound of cooked meat. So now I'm just going to cover this with some beef broth. All right, now that I'm bringing this up to a simmer, I'm gonna let that cook until the potatoes are tender, and then I have some other ingredients to add. And I hope you improve, because I understand salteñas are a very personal thing. While the stew simmers, I can work on the pastry. And I love trying a new pastry recipe. Salteñas have a few distinct differences from empanadas. And one of them is that there's a fair amount of sugar in the pastry. I was surprised to discover that. So I'm adding 50 grams to my already measured flour. Now you have to tell me if this is correct or not. Can you use achiote instead of urucum if it's not available? I was lucky enough to find the urucum, so I'm adding it along with some salt. And now this is where I'm not sure. Is this for color or for flavor? I'll give it a quick stir, but I'm hoping it blends in okay once I add my wet ingredients. And those include adding melted shortening, some room temperature water, and 2 egg yolks. So now I'm just going to stir this all together. This isn't like making a pie dough where the ingredients all have to be cold and you add lots of butter. I still see some flour visible, but I think it's time to tip this out and knead it a little bit to bring it together. Let me know what you think of the dough and the filling flavors. Tell me, what are your favorite flavor of salteña? This isn't like a bread dough where it's going to become really smooth and elastic. So to see a little cracking, just like this, should be okay. But I am going to give this dough a little chance to rest. So that means I can finish off the stew. Now that my potatoes are tender, I can add the finishing ingredients. I've got some frozen peas. And from what I understand, raisins are a popular choice in salteñas. To make sure I have a good amount of sauce, I'm gonna add some extra beef stock. And I've softened 7 grams of gelatin powder in a little cold water. And now I can add that and let it dissolve. Okay, now I'm gonna let this cool, the dough rest, and it'll be time to assemble the salteñas. Right, you can really see how the yellow color has come out in this dough. That's amazing, just sitting for a little bit. And I have my chilled filling, which is solid because of the gelatin setting its sauce. And now I'm gonna roll out 6 at a time, probably about 15 centimeters across. Obviously, I can't roll it too thin or the sauce might burst through as the salteñas bake. Okay, I'll line them up and put in a generous amount of the filling. Well, that's easy to handle. Now I understand why you put the gelatin in to set the liquid. And now another traditional addition I've heard of is adding a single green olive, pitted, of course. Okay, and now to fold and seal these up. Even though the repulga is the same way you do an empanada, I know to put the seam on top of the pastry, so that way any liquid won't push through. If you laid it on its side, that filling could leak out. While I've assembled a few empanadas before, I do not have a lifetime of skill and experience. So I hope these come out okay. I don't know, what do you think? Did I do okay? I could use a bit more practice, I think. Now, I saved the egg white from the yolks that I put in the pastry, so I'll brush the surface of each of the pastries with this. That'll give it a nice shine, promote some nice even browning. And these will bake for about 30 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit, so that's 190 Celsius. Hey, these don't look too bad. I think I've only have only two or three maybe have leaked. I consider that as a first try okay. I hope you'll agree. But now it's about that contrast of the sweet pastry and the savory filling. So I think I'm going to eat this with a fork and knife to be wary of the sauce. That makes a lot of sense. Oh yeah, there's the liquid. You can see it. We'll just eat this very carefully, leaning over my plate. Wow, that pastry is so tender, but the sweetness, it's there, but it's not overwhelming. And you know what? It balances the Aji Amarillo, the chili paste that's in there. It's got a little heat to it. What a beautiful combination. Oh, thank you, Bolivia, for picking this as the recipe for me to make. This is absolutely delicious. And while I've never been to Bolivia, I've now made two pastries from there. So I feel so fortunate. I think I'm going to have to book my flight.